Welcome back to ArcViz with Blender and Stable Diffusion. In this lesson, we're going to download Krita, install its AI Diffusion plugin, and also learn how to install ComfyUI from within Krita to start rendering images. So let's get started. Open up your browser and go to krita.org. Krita is an open source digital painting program that is very powerful, and it's got a lot of features. And with the integration of plugins like AI Diffusion, it's really going a step further. So let's begin by downloading the program. Click on download. The latest version available is 5.2.2. Here you can download which version you want to get, Linux app image or Windows portable. So click on Windows installer, download it, and install it the same way we did with the other programs. Now we need to download the AI Diffusion plugin. So go back to Google and look for Krita AI Diffusion. And go to GitHub releases, Krita AI Diffusion, and click on 1.18 is the latest version. After you have downloaded it, remember where you saved it. So I'm going to put it in the courses files here. Now we're ready to launch Krita. So open up Krita. Since it's the first time you launch Krita, it will take a little bit of time because it's creating all the default assets. So now we are on Krita's default interface. I got several files I opened before here in the recent images tab. So let's begin by installing Krita's AI Diffusion plugin. So let's go to Tools, Scripts, and select Import Python plugin from file. Now point this to where you downloaded the zip file. And here I have Krita AI Diffusion 1.18. Double click on it. After you install it, you will get a window saying the following plugins were imported. AI Image Diffusion enabled plugin now, so click on yes. So now the plugin is enabled and we need to close Krita and restart it for it to load. And now we need to go to Settings, Configure Krita, and here we need to go down to Python Plugin Manager, and you will see AI Image Diffusion is now enabled and ready. So click on OK. So now we could start using the Death Pass image we generated in Blender, but before doing that, we need to install ComfyUI to have Stable Diffusion in our system to start working with the images. So to do so, we need to create a new file. So click on File, New, make it square 1080 by 1080, and click on Create. You will see here on the right side that we have the AI image generation plugin, but it says connection attempt fail. Click below to configure and reconnect. So click on configure. And now we need to install ComfyUI. And we have three options available to be able to use ComfyUI. The first one is to run it locally through a managed server. Basically, what this is that Krita will install a default application of ComfyUI to the folder we define here. The second option is if we already have ComfyUI installed, we can launch it, and when the server is running, we can connect it with Krita. And the third option is to use the online service, in which you will have to create an account in Interstice Cloud, sign in, and it will do the rendering process online. But the option we're going to be using in this course is the first one, local managed server. And let's change where we want our ComfyUI version to be installed. So click on the folder, and I'm going to place it as well in my project folder. So go to Project, Udemy, Course. I'm going to create a new folder, and I will call it AI. And inside of it, I will create a folder called AI_diffusion. Select the folder. So here it will create a folder inside of it called ComfyUI. Now we need to select which components we want to have in our installation. So in my case, I'm going to select everything. it's got the options separated in different options. The first one says recommended checkpoints. Checkpoints are the trained models that make the rendering images possible. Now we need to download some upscalers, and finally we need to download the control net libraries and models. I'm going to download all of them. And also we got control extensions for SDXL in case we are going to use SDXL models. Once you have selected everything, click on install, and it will take quite some time. So I'm going to start the installation process and be back with you when it's done. So that took quite a long time. I hope you guys had enough time to go for a cup of coffee. So once the installation is completed, you will see everything checked and green. The reason why it takes so long to download, it's because most of the checkpoints are usually quite large. Let me show you. We will start becoming familiar with Comfy UI's folder structure. In this case, we just ran an automated process from within Krita that installed Comfy UI for us. So if you go to your AI Diffusion folder, the one we created, we have the subfolder Comfy UI, and then again, the automated installation processes create their own Python environment to guarantee everything runs properly. We did install our own version of Python because there are other dependencies in these processes that require system-wide Python to be installed. But they also have a local installation of Python to ensure everything runs properly with Comfy UI. So if you go into Comfy UI, and then you go to models, and inside of models, you check checkpoints, you will see here the 3 checkpoints we downloaded. Realistic Vision, Dream Shaper, Flat 2D, I'm sorry, the 4, and Juggernaut XL. And if you check the size of each of them, one is 2 gigabytes and Juggernaut is 7 gigabytes. So they are quite large. If you want to keep on adding checkpoint models, one of the principal pages to do this is Civit AI. Here you will find different kinds of models, but take into account that you can end up with quite a large installation of Comfy UI. So that's why they synthesize everything into 4 main ones to cover all your needs. One for photography, Realistic Vision, another one more artful like Dream Shaper, one for cartoon and anime, and Juggernaut XL, which is like an all-round. Now, the same thing goes for the control net libraries. They're not as large as the model checkpoints, but if you go into Comfy UI, models again, but now you select control net, here are all of the models we just downloaded. I mean, the automated process downloaded. So if you check the size, one of them is 2 gigabytes, 2.5 gigabytes, and then 700 megabytes until 132. Now, check that here it says SD 1.5, SD 15, and the other one says XL. That has to do with the Stable Diffusion version that you're going to use. For this course, we are mainly going to do stuff in 1.5 version of Stable Diffusion. XL is a newer version of it, and we'll explain a little bit more further. If you check the overall size of the Comfy UI that Krita installed for us, it's almost 36 gigabytes. So I was mentioning here, if you want to get another model, for example, Rev Animated, which is one of the most popular, here you will see if the base model is Stable Diffusion 1.5 or Stable Diffusion SDXL. And if you click on download, you will see the different versions. So there is a bigger one that is 5 gigabytes and the other one is 4 gigabytes. So now the fun part begins. So now we can close this and let everything like settle down. And let's open Krita once more. I'm sorry, I'm going to close Krita as well. Now we're going to launch Krita again. But now instead of creating a new file, we are going to load our Death Pass image, the one we created with Blender. So let's go to our course, My Renders, and here it is. As I was telling you, the correct way of a depth map to work is the inverted of what we have here. So first thing we need to do is invert this image. So for that, we're going to go to Filter, Adjust, and click on Invert. This is the correct way a depth pass is generated. We can also do this in Blender, but as I told you, it has to be done with the compositor, so it's a little bit more complicated. Thankfully, people found out this way to do it in Eevee, and it's quite painless and it's very fast. And now the other thing I like to do in Krita is go to filter, adjust, and do an auto contrast. So this way, now we do have a proper depth pass. So let's save this file, and I'm going to call it depth pass. I don't know if you could call it inverted or OK or 01. I'm going to add inv to know this is the proper one we're going to be working with, and click on OK. Now, if you check here on the right part, the server is already running. And if you notice here, it says by default cinematic photo. From the dropdown, you can select the 4 models we downloaded. Let's leave it in cinematic photo. If you don't see the server running, click on the cogwheels icon and probably your server stopped. So just click here on launch and it will connect again. Now, what's interesting about this kind of installation is that you don't have to deal with anything. Krita does everything for you. And the other funny thing is that you are not going to see the ComfyUI interface at all. Everything is done from within Krita. So now let's close here. And here's where the fun part begins. Now let's leave everything as it is. In front of the slider, click on the plus. From the dropdown, we are going to select the kind of control net we want to use. In this case, we want to use a depth pass. So select depth. And once depth is selected, we are ready to write or type in our prompt. The advantage of using control net and the depth pass is that we are going to force the artificial intelligence to use this map we got on the screen, and it will try to stick to it as much as possible. What we're doing here is called image to image. We are going from a depth pass image black and white to a fully blown render in color and everything. So let's type in here a modern farmhouse in the woods, blue sky, beautiful lighting. When you're ready, click on generate and wait for it to happen. And this is going to be officially our first AI generated render. Okay, congratulations. So now we have a nice render image. And as you can notice, it's sticking pretty close to the depth image we are using. And notice how detailed and how intricate the details are. The artificial intelligence adds like its own interpretation of things, conditions, check the sky. It decided it was going to be a night scene, although we didn't tell it to be. So if you want, you can save this and put it in a photo frame. My first render. My first render. Very good. My first render.png. So now if you change your, let's say, a modern farmhouse by the beach, sunny day, and click on generate again, here it's going to start saving like the history of the images we are generating. Notice how it still sticks to the depth pass image we got. For me, this was mind-blowing. This is amazing, the possibilities of what you can do with this. And you can take it to the extreme you want. Let's change farmhouse for cabin in the mountains, comma, waterfalls around. Click on generate. Now we got 3 renders that are completely different. Each of them is quite amazing. I love this. So we're using cinematic photo and we're using an Excel model that comes by default with the Krita installation. Let's change to an SD 1.5 model like the cinematic photo. I think this one was selected by default, but then it changed at some point. I'm going to generate the same prompt with an SD 1.5 model to see the difference. Here it is. The difference between Stable Diffusion 1.5 and Stable Diffusion XL and SDXL. Stable Diffusion model after 1.0 release was trained on images that are 512 by 512. You always need to do like an upscaling process with them, and the prompts needed to be like more complex. The Stable Diffusion SDXL model was trained on 1024 by 1024 images, and the prompting is a lot simpler. So you get better results with less words. And now let's change here the drop down from cinematic photo to comic and anime. And let's change a Japanese cabin in the mountains on fire. Let's see what happens. If you don't see it generated here, remember to scroll down because it will be underneath. With a simple checkpoint change, notice how beautiful our images can be. So the limit here really is our imagination and what we can create with it. Ever since ControlNet appeared, it's been the best way, like the name mentions it, to control the output of your images. Otherwise, you would just be generating like random stuff. So remember to save all of these images here. This is going to be file, save as my first render, 01, 02, 03. And this one, very nice, 04. Check your renders folder and feel proud. So here's like our process. This is the default Eevee mist pass. This is our inverted version and the proper depth pass. And here are our renders. Imagine the possibilities of doing an animation with transitions of this. It would be very cool. In the next lesson, let me check my notebook here. The next lesson, we're going to learn how to install WebUI Forge on Windows and check another way of generating AI images and ArcViz images with our depth pass. So see you guys on the next lesson and have fun.